There's been a lot of videos lately about why the film industry is failing and how it's affecting theaters, and most of them come to the same conclusions. Bad writing, awful effects, too many franchises, too few originals, identity politics mattering over story, and blaming fans who don't like your work as total bigots even if it doesn't make sense. And all of those are very vital issues. But one thing I haven't heard anyone talk about is how marketing for Hollywood movies and for movies in general is just non-existent at this point. And I've been thinking about it ever since I saw Beau Was Afraid. By myself with my best friend in an empty IMAX theater 3 days into its runtime. It was A24's most expensive movie, directed by, at the time, their star filmmaker, had an Oscar-winning lead, and for better or worse, was unlike any movie out at the time, or since, if we're really being honest. And yet, it only made $11.5 million, and don't get me wrong, I knew there was a possibility that this could fail, but not on this level. You would think that A24 would do everything to push people to go see their most expensive movie, and then it hit me. How many people actually knew that this was coming out? And did they cater more towards their diehard fans, or did they try to entice every demographic as possible? I tried looking for what they did in regards to promotions, and the most I saw were interviews with YouTubers that were on really crappy Zoom meetings. Ari Aster went on a bunch of podcasts that nobody would have heard of unless he appeared on them. Nathan Lane going on Jimmy Fallon to talk about only murders, and then when they got around to Beau, talked more about what Joaquin Phoenix was like on set as opposed to what's so special, original about this movie, why people need to see it. And for the past year and a half, the more and more I tell friends and family what movies I'm going to go see, the more I realize that audiences are just not in the loop on what's being released and when, because 4 out of 5 times, everyone just asks me, that's out already? They made that? Who's in it? When does it come out on streaming? They legitimately do not know, and it begs the question, what does it take to properly market a movie well enough so that people know about it, and they can't wait for it to stream? They just need to go see it in the theater. Well, the first and painfully obvious step is make a good movie that people actually want to go see. I know it seems a little too obvious, and it's not always true, but for the most part, when you see a poster or a trailer, most audiences can tell whether or not it's for them. I mean, look at Dune Part 2. Based on all of the advertising, if it didn't have a massive epic scope, gorgeous cinematography, experiential sound design, great music, great performances, and a couple awkward memes that they could actually laugh at their own expense, would people have gone out of their way to see it multiple times? You can make the argument it's based off of a source material, but we already have 3 cult hits compared to this 2-part blockbuster. As opposed to Madam Web, where the advertising was nothing but awful, and the only reason people went to see it was just to see if it was so bad it was good. And since a lot of people are still debating why Furiosa bombed in the first place, a lot of people forget Mad Max was an indie niche franchise until Fury Road. The only thing that was reputable and marketable about the original trilogy was Mel Gibson. Beyond that, it was extremely low budget. The actors were not mainstream in the slightest. Not to mention, you made a prequel about a character who was so interesting because of how mysterious she was. The things you didn't know about her, you could fill into your head. And with this, you're taking away that element of surprise. And again, like I mentioned before, there was no advertising for it. My mom, I told 3 times that I went to see it. She forgot every single time. And honestly, I don't really blame her for it because it was a good movie, but it could have been a hell of a lot better. And the thing is, a movie doesn't need to be based off of source material or have big name actors in order to suck people in. Everything Everywhere All at Once is A24's most profitable movie, and yet the filmmakers are incredibly niche. There were only 1 or 2 stars in it, but at the same time, people went and saw it because the marketing was really promising. The action and the multiverse looked incredibly awesome. The performances seemed good. The sense of humor was so surreal and wacky, and the themes that people ended up resonating with were teased enough to the point where you could kind of understand whether you were going to like it without being given away too much. Which brings me nicely to my second point. Show the style of the film, because even if it's not good, as long as you show what stands out compared to your competition, you can still rake in a profit. I mean, look at Barbie. People didn't go see it because it was based off a doll. They didn't go see it because, well, they did see it because of Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie, but that's always a hit and miss opportunity. And they sure as hell didn't see it because of the feminist themes. They saw it because the production value from the sets, the costumes, the music, the cinematography, everything about it looked amazing. It looked above average for a movie based off a fucking doll, and anyone who saw it, loved or hated it, admitted that the advertising sparked their curiosity, and it was easily the best part of the film. And the best part is, you don't even really need a trailer in order to show what this movie has in store. I was actually on a live stream recently with a YouTuber named Horror with Naz, and she brought up an interesting point where, as opposed to trailers, even when they tell you scenes out of order, the context is still there and it spoils everything. You could show a 5 or 6 minute clip on YouTube or in theaters that gives you the instant look and feel of what's in store for you. To go back to Dune Part 2, Warner Brothers put out a 5-6 minute clip of the Sandworm ride. And it's not the best scene in the movie by any means, but it's certainly one of them. And it's early on into the film where it doesn't ruin everything, but the tone, the performances, the spectacle of it all is still there. And this is by no means a new concept in regards to marketing. I mean, when The Lion King came out, they didn't have a trailer. They just played The Circle of Life in theaters. And it worked. People came and saw it, and it became the biggest animated film of all time. And that marketing strategy was so good that the very next year they ended up doing the exact same thing with Pocahontas. And even though it didn't rake in the exact same numbers, and we all have our minds made up as to why that is, again, the trailer was just colors of the wind, and I would have picked a lighter song that wasn't their best in order to hook people on it, but at the same time, it was still effective. I think I have a Lion King VHS around here somewhere, but I remember Colors of the Wind being the trailer on that cassette, and I would watch it every single time, no matter what. I feel like if Folie à Deux put out one of their musical numbers as a trailer, people would be less skeptical and a little more warming to the idea of a comic book musical, and you can get a glimpse of what it would look like and what Todd Phillips is trying to accomplish. Yes, you can see them singing and dancing in the trailer, and the sets look like a Golden Age type musical, and that is definitely intriguing. But I feel like you still need to win people over by actually showing what it looks and sounds like. This third option came the day before I started recording when I looked up the Kinds for Kindness trailer, because it's already being considered one of the best trailers of the year, and rightfully so. It shrouds so much of the movie, the anthology storylines, the actors in multiple roles, the different styles of color and black and white, and that morbid deadpan sense of humor in complete and utter mystery. But what was really interesting is that there are already 100 or so fan trailers done in the exact same style and rhythm of this one for movies that either just came out, are already considered classics, or haven't even come out yet. And the weird thing is, every single one of these can pass as a legit trailer. They all start off with an ambiguous quote that makes you wonder, who are they talking to? What is this movie about? They're all done to the same sweet tune of Sweet Dreams, and they montage so many of the movie's vital scenes in a short amount of time, and then is bookended with another ambiguous quote that just has you going, okay, I like that. My best way of describing it is, it shows us everything but tells us nothing. And again, this isn't a new concept. The most recent Studio Ghibli trailers have actually done a really good job at just montaging clips in silence to the tune of the movie's original score. And it's something that Nickelodeon would even copy whenever they put out a trailer for Legend of Korra. Watch any of these trailers, and not only do the visuals give you an idea of what to expect, but the music tells you how you're gonna feel as you're watching it, and there's no other better technique like that. My last option might be weird and kind of tooting my own horn, but hear me out on this one. Have the audience advertise the movie. And I don't mean that time Paranormal Activity spliced in audience reactions and encourage audiences to demand theaters show the movie, although it's a better marketing strategy than what this crap does. The fact that studios did not do this during the Hollywood strikes is just mind-boggling to me. There was a period of time where they couldn't advertise their films, and yet, in my opinion, they could have just shown clips of the movie followed by montages of audiences being interviewed after the film, where they give you everything they liked about the movie, what was so exciting to them, why anyone should rush out to see the theater. Or, and I'm willing to bet studios wouldn't do this, but if they did, I would respect the hell out of them, would even show clips of people being disappointed or what they didn't like about the movie, because an audience member can still watch that clip and go, well, I like that sort of thing, or that doesn't bother me, I'll go see it anyway. These can be just casual audience members, they could be YouTubers like myself who see movies on a regular basis, and considering we give a lot of our income to make it your income, you really should be listening to us in the first place. And yes, they technically do that with press screenings and film critics, but I mean, Be honest with yourselves. Would you rather get an A24 recommendation from someone who looks like this or this? Now look, is this video strictly armchair philosophy over actual statistics and strategy? Absolutely, but I make this video and statement as someone who goes to the movies every other week, just like someone goes to a concert or a play every other month. And because I go every other week, I see which marketing strategies work, I see which ones fail. I want to see as many great movies as possible. I want to experience them with like-minded individuals who have an equal taste in cinema. But that's not really happening anymore, and amongst many other reasons I've already mentioned, Hollywood's not really giving us a reason by not advertising them well. And with that, guys, thanks as always for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Hollywood marketing or a complete lack thereof. Be sure to like and subscribe, check me out on Patreon and buy me a coffee, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.